Hey, finally the 12 o'clock time slot is here, and I'm going to talk to you about metabolic typing and what types of food you're supposed to be eating. First, let's start with some common sense facts. Number one, we're all different. How our body burns food into energy is different in all of us. That's why some foods, some diets are right for some of us and not for others. It's pretty simple. Our biochemistry is as different as our set of fingerprints are. Well, maybe not quite. We all fall under a category where there is a dominant biochemical factor that is involved in burning food into energy. So let me explain. In an automobile, as an example, we have premium gas, we have diesel, we have regular unleaded as an example. So if it's a diesel car and we put regular gas in it, or it's a regular car and we put diesel in it, there is a problem. In a car that requires premium gas, if you put a regular gas in it, it will run, but not as efficiently. It's all about efficiency. If you're taking food, you're eating food, not that much, but it barely has the right types of nutrients that's a perfect match for your biochemistry, you're signaling the body into thinking it's starving. What happens if it's starving? What happens if you don't have enough food at home? You eat little, you basically try to conserve whatever it is that you have in your pantry or in your refrigerator. Same is true with your body. If you're giving it food, but it barely has the right fuel and the right needs, barely provides for the needs of your body, then your body's metabolism goes down. So when it goes down, it holds on to whatever you put in it much longer. So you will have a problem eating food very little and still having a hard time losing weight. Sometimes weight's not necessarily an issue, it's the energy. A lot of times people eat whatever it is and they're starving again in a very short time. That's because their body burned that food very quickly because that fuel was not the right fuel for that body. You see, in a healthy body, you put the food in and it gives you a nice supply of energy for a long time. If it goes through it very fast, then there is a drop in your insulin, and what ends up happening is you automatically will go eat more. So all of a sudden you're constantly eating, and at the same time, because you're eating, you're looking for a quick way to basically up your insulin level. So what do you grab? The simple sugar, whatever, a donut, whatever it is that you gravitate towards. So that one. In certain cases, Atkins diet works for them. For some people, it doesn't necessarily work for everyone. You have ketogenic diet. I mean, they come up with all different ways to try to up the metabolism, but the problem, it's a problem when you can't sustain a diet. So you can't go on no carb forever unless it's a good match for you. Hi, Golnaz. It's a good match for you. So if you can't sustain the diet that you're going, and I hate to use diet because it implies you're actually trying to lose weight. Diet is just proper eating. So what ends up happening is if you can't sustain that way of eating, it's not the right match. That's a no-brainer. You didn't need a doctor to tell you this. So what do you do and how does it really, really work? It's very simple. in your body, in all of our body, there are 9 factors that influence your biochemistry, influence how your body burns food into energy. There are 9 factors, but out of 9, there are essentially 3 major dominants that basically they dominate how your body burns food into energy. You might have heard of eating based on your blood type. In reality, your blood type doesn't determine what foods you need to eat. It actually determines what foods you shouldn't be eating. It doesn't necessarily determine, it just influences it. So I remember years ago they used to sell the book. So another way of selling a product to the consumer, that's what it boiled down to. Same with Atkins diet. It was such a huge deal so many years. No carb diet, or whatever the case may be. So out of the 9 factors, there are essentially 3 main biochemical dominants that influence how your body burns food into energy. And as a result of that, you need to find out what those dominant factors are in you. How do we find out? It's very simple. Well, it takes a little bit longer, but it's 27, a little over actually, 27 pages of questions. It's not a blood work. That's the beauty of it. It's not a blood work, and I'm not really going to get into why it shouldn't be a blood work. But let's just say what you get in your blood is after the whole process, and everything that's evaluated from your blood is after it's gone through your liver. So it's part of the pathway, but I'm not going to bore you with that. Let's just go back on the subject of proper diet here. So there's 27 very strategically designed questions that we find out exactly what the dominant factor in your biochemistry is. So based on that dominant factor, we already know what foods are compatible to that specific dominance in your biochemistry. You don't need to worry about what it is, even though the report explains everything to you, and it explains to you exactly what specific information is pertinent to your case. So based on that, and by the way, it's not going to be like, for the rest of your life, you need to eat this specific type of food or this specific type of vegetables. By the way, fruit and vegetables not necessarily good for everyone. For my biochemistry, barely any fruit. And I'm not surprised. I've never really gravitated towards fruit. I love vegetables. So come to find out, it's actually more compatible for my biochemistry anyway. I've always liked dark meat. I like steak. I like chicken thigh over chicken breast. Come to find out that's the case. Now, just to let you know, not everyone in the family ends up having the same biochemistry. For instance, my parents, it's my sister and myself that I did metabolic typing on, and hers and mine are 100% opposite. Well, not 100%, pretty much 100% opposite. So even though our parents are the same parents, our chemistry is different. So you can't just say, okay, well, my mom or my sister or my brother have this, so mine must be the same. It's not. So we find out exactly what types of foods are right for you, and then you can just essentially start eating based on that. It's very, very comprehensive. The report is absolutely comprehensive. And let me give you a little background as to why we even have to do these things. The problem actually started when we as human beings started traveling to other parts of the world, or food from other parts of the world was brought into our environment. In the old days and years, when people basically sustained their life in their own environment, the vegetation, the animals, whatever, everything that was there to eat was compatible to that individual or that community's biochemistry. Those people, let's say, that were not compatible with the vegetables that were being produced in that environment, well, essentially they would die of starvation, and that would be the ending of them passing on their genes to the next generation. So we had a perfect match of human biochemistry within a community and the surrounding and the environment, essentially. So as we advanced and we started traveling to other parts of the world, or food from other parts of the world was brought on to our environment, the mismatch was created. As a result of that mismatch, and add years of this happening, add a wide variety of food that we are now exposed to, add the fact that so much of our food is essentially processed and tasty food looking items that have no nutrition. All of these create havoc in your body and create a lot of problems with your biochemistry. There is all that confusion within your body as to what is the right match, and so it really decreases the efficiency of how your body burns food into energy. That's the essence of what's going on. So by asking exactly what is going on with you, and you'd be the best solution to your problem. You know, for instance, if you eat a salad for lunch, how are you going to feel after an hour? That is going to be one of the questions that, for instance, is asked. The other thing is, for example, your autonomic nervous system plays a role in your biochemistry. One of the things that, like how many times you go to the bathroom, what is the ratio of your pupil, which is the little center of your iris, the color part of your eye, that very black dot in the center of that area, that's your pupil. So what's the ratio of that to your iris? Actually, that's a question that's asked, which is like, what does that have to do with my food? In reality, it determines how much of your existence is being controlled by your autonomic nervous system, because that is one of the major controlling systems in some people. So based on the questions that you answer, we can find out exactly. There's no guess game. We can find out exactly what is going on with you, how your body burns food into energy. Now, for a lot of us, weight may not be an issue. It's a matter of efficiency. It's a matter of energy. It's a matter of mood swings. All of these are variations of how healthy or unhealthy we are. For example, a section of the questions that are asked has to do with your mood. And when I send the information to whoever asks for this information, I always say this section you may want to consult with your partner, your husband, your wife, or whoever it is that lives with you, because a lot of times we think we're perfect, but in reality the other individual is a lot more objective in really giving the right answers. Now, in these questionnaire, which like I said is over 27 questions, you can also find out, sometimes you may not know the answer. If you don't know the answer, you should not answer it, because it becomes misleading. Bottom line is, the reason the Atkins diet, no carb diet, ketogenic diet, whatever, there's so many different kinds of diets out there, don't work for everyone. Once again, it has to do with your biochemistry. I swear, in the media, and basically we live in a society when consumerism is the way the society is being run. They really extrapolate a section out of a reality, and they try to basically monetize that fact. And they sell books, they sell diets, they sell drinks, they do this, they do that. How many times do you hear, for example, wine's good for you, then you find out wine's not good for you. Coffee's good for you, coffee's not good for you. Grain's good for you, grain's not good for you. Fiber, there's so many different things. There's so many conflicting information. It's like, holy moly, what the heck am I supposed to be eating? It's so confusing. And then people also think that, hey, supplements or vitamins, I can take them. No, actually, vitamins are the same situation. Not every vitamin is the right vitamin for you. A great example of that is calcium. So there, depending on your biochemistry, there is a right type of calcium for your biochemistry. You don't have to know these things. These things are already done for you if you actually answer the questions. It's really that simple. I'm not trying to sell you anything. I'm just trying to bring common sense into the picture here. It's so confusing and it's so overwhelming that for the simplest things we're wondering, what is the answer? We don't know what the answer is anymore. So the way to find out is very simple. If you want to learn more, you can just let me know and I'll send you a link. There is a fee associated with it, and my patients, if you guys are my patients and you're watching this, I give a 20% discount until I'd say end of October to get the link, and then I'll email you the report back. It's very comprehensive, and I'm here to answer any questions you may have, depending on, in case you read the report and you don't find out what's going on, then you can certainly ask the question. I'll be more than happy to answer it to you or for you. So for my patients and my friends, I extend a 20% discount for the link. Once you do this link, you basically don't have to ever guess again as to, well, should I be eating this or should I not? By the way, the report is kind of interesting. Depending on what's going on, what your biochemistry is. Like in my case, it's pretty simple. My sister's case, like I was telling you about, geez, she can pretty much eat anything as long as there is a match in what food, let's say what meat will bring the maximum energy and nutrient to you with what vegetable. It may sound confusing, but it's really, really simple. So for instance, since everything is now electronic and you can actually save the actual chart on your phone. Let's say you go to a restaurant and you want to order a piece of steak. So anyway, I will try to put all this information there after I post this on Facebook. And I hope I've answered the questions, the basic questions, and taken away some of this mystery of what foods to eat. That's about it. This was on the subject of what foods to eat. You guys take care.